You stand on the brink of unforeseen miracles. Having endured trials that nearly extinguished your hope, you once feared the doors would remain closed. Yet your perseverance is about to be honored. This moment carries a profound cosmic promise. The universe has prepared a gift that will elevate your journey in ways beyond imagination. If you sense a deep stirring within, an intuitive knowing that life is about to shift, then this message is meant for you. Like this now, subscribe and type 77 below if you're open to divine favor, because a powerful blessing is on its way, one that will reshape your reality, and you will not emerge from this moment unchanged. Chapter 1. You rose from the shadows, determined to claim your destiny. Many doubted you when you first set foot on this path, one that seemed too uncertain, too arduous. You had no map, only an unshakable conviction that you were destined for something greater. People called your dreams unrealistic. Yet with every insult or dismissal, you found fuel for your own quiet revolution. Piece by piece, you shed old versions of yourself, letting your soul's deeper instincts emerge. The road was seldom easy, but it taught you to rely on an inner authority that whispers truths nobody else can perceive. Society might have tried to box you in, offering safety and mediocrity, but you were hungry for real meaning. Eventually, even the slightest whiff of shallow acceptance felt suffocating. You yearned for the kind of life that sets your spirit ablaze. This calling to step into unknown territory demanded nerve. At times you trembled with self-doubt, yet still, you pressed forward, forging a brand new identity. The cost was high. You lost comfort, old relationships, even illusions about the world. Yet what you gained was priceless: clarity, a sense of mission, and a willingness to meet destiny on your own terms. And so you rose, part phoenix, part pioneer, from a place others considered unremarkable. People who used to ignore you began to sense your subtle ascendancy. Perhaps they couldn't pin down the change, but they felt it. You'd gone from overlooked to unstoppable, turning your challenges into stepping stones. It was no easy feat. Sleepless nights tested your resilience, while days brimming with uncertainty tested your faith. Yet the more adversity you faced, the stronger your conviction became. You might have been labeled difficult or restless, no matter. The more they tried to persuade you to stay small, the more your spirit rebelled. You recognized that your dreams weren't outlandish. They were urgent. Each day you asked yourself, if not now, then when? The urgency sparked creativity, problem solving, forging a path out of the intangible into the tangible. Doors once locked began to open a crack, and you learned to wedge your foot in, refusing to be shut out again. It wasn't an overnight leap from anonymity to all eyes on you. It was a steady evolution. Yet you sense you're on the verge of a bigger leap. The universe sees how far you've traveled, how vigorously you've defended your calling. Your momentum is unstoppable, an undercurrent of divine synergy carrying you closer to the gift that's been in the works all along. This gift is a direct acknowledgement. You said yes to your greater self, and so life says yes to you in return. Stop for a moment. Reflect on how improbable it seemed that you would ever get this far. Realize that your story is only half written. Now that you've conquered your own limitations, you stand prepared to claim opportunities once considered out of reach. The gift forming on the horizon is not mere luck. It's the natural consequence of your unwavering devotion to your vision. All that remains is for you to step forward, heart open, ready to receive the grace that's truly yours. Chapter 2. You overcame the noise, building an unbreakable inner foundation. There was a time you heard more voices than your own, clashing and cluttering your mind. People told you who to be, how to act, what to settle for. They offered unasked for opinions and belittled your hunger for something beyond the mundane. The noise was relentless, a chaotic blend of social expectations and personal insecurities. You tried to please them, to comply with their definitions of success, until one day you realized how unsustainable it was. Keeping up with every external demand left you drained, far from the self-assured person you knew you were destined to become. So you shut the door, literally and metaphorically. You closed off the noise. Maybe you took a hiatus from social media. Maybe you quietly removed yourself from circles that thrived on gossip. You press mute on the world, focusing inward on the whisper of your own instincts. The shift felt disorienting, as if you'd lost all your usual feedback. Yet that disorientation cleared space for a new clarity. Within that stillness, your genuine self surfaced, unpolished but real. The emptiness once filled by external chatter became fertile ground for authentic growth. When you rely on external validation, you become prey to their whims. But turning inward, you discovered your unbreakable inner foundation. This wasn't a shallow sense of self-confidence, but a profound rootedness in who you are and what you stand for. Self-reliance replaced dependence on applause or approval. You recognized you could generate your own motivation, discipline, and sense of worth. No longer would you outsource those essentials to people who might betray or misunderstand you. Inevitably, some called you aloof or arrogant. They missed your old compliance, the version of you that bent and twisted for acceptance. Yes, you faced guilt, questioning if forging your own path made you selfish. But each time that guilt surfaced, you weighed it against the cost of ignoring your destiny. The trade-off was clear. Better to cause ripples by standing in your truth than to drown in the undertow of someone else's plan for your life. And so your identity congealed into something robust, something no fleeting praise or random criticism could erode. You became a fortress, not closed off from empathy or love, but impermeable to manipulation or worthless opinions. Freed from the burden of external illusions, you soared higher in your pursuits. Your creative expression blossomed, your spiritual insights grew sharper, and your daily choices began aligning seamlessly with your innermost values. If you wanted to travel, you started planning your trip. If you dreamed of launching a project, you began taking those small, certain steps. This unbreakable inner foundation is precisely what readies you to receive the universe's gift. The path is no longer cluttered by confusion or demands that aren't yours. Your time and energy revolve around what truly matters, leaving you open to notice the subtle cues that lead to your next breakthrough. And so, while others scratch their heads at your transformation, you stand prepared. Each passing day, you deepen your core and intensify your readiness. Life's about to present you with that wondrous opportunity you've suspected, and you'll be able to embrace it fully, anchored by the unshakable essence you've cultivated. Chapter 3. You set firm boundaries and activated a new level of respect. Saying yes to your own desires wasn't just a matter of being kinder to yourself. It was also about erecting walls where there used to be wide-open gates. People who had grown accustomed to strolling in and out of your business, taking advantage of your time and patience, found themselves halted by boundaries you placed with unwavering conviction. At first they were baffled, some were offended, but you knew it had to be done. The inner clarity that blossomed demanded an external reflection, firm lines that distinguished what was acceptable and what was not. You encountered friction, some labeled you distant, others dramatic, but you'd weighed the cost of continuing to be a doormat for everyone's convenience. Could you keep giving pieces of yourself to appease them? Could you keep treating their crises and drama as more important than your dreams, leaving your aspirations on perpetual standby? The answer was a resounding no, so you drew your lines, unwavering, discomfort be damned. You needed to preserve your energy for the breakthroughs you felt brewing. With each boundary enforced, something extraordinary happened. You began to attract a different caliber of respect. Those who had once dismissed your aspirations now took notice. Whether grudgingly or with genuine admiration, they realized you had begun treating yourself as someone whose time and emotional reserves mattered. The result? They started showing up differently, if they showed up at all. Some who truly valued you adapted. They apologized for overstepping and displayed new courtesy. Others vanished, exposing their roles as opportunists who thrived only on your unprotected generosity. You discovered that boundaries are self-care in action. They're not walls to keep out love. They're fences that keep out toxicity, leaving room for authentic connections and protecting your focus and well-being. You effectively soared above the petty demands that once anchored you. Real friends, genuine partners, and respectful colleagues found it easier to build a rapport that was reciprocal, not parasitic. Bit by bit, your social environment shaped itself to reflect the growth you craved. At work, you found superiors or coworkers taking your input more seriously. In your family circle, you stopped tolerating the guilt-laden manipulations that once weighed you down. You recognize that saying no or not now isn't cruelty, but honesty. In the sphere of romance, half-hearted suitors faced a new normal. You no longer chased, no longer settled for an uneven dynamic. Those who cherished you had to meet your standards or step aside. And in that process, your self-worth soared. Respect, it turned out, started with you respecting yourself, and your boundaries were the first line of evidence. Underneath it all, your spirit rejoiced. Freed from the chains of unending demands, you tapped deeper into your creativity, your sense of adventure, your willingness to dream. Life felt less heavy, more purposeful. Day by day, you felt a subtle power building. You realized something vital. Boundaries aren't just about stopping negativity. They're also about creating a fertile ground for positivity to flourish. In that protected space, the seeds of your next life-changing gift quietly germinated, nurtured by the sunlight of your newfound self-respect. Chapter 4. You released old wounds to make room for powerful opportunities. The moment you decided to wholeheartedly pursue your vision, you realized you had to travel light. Emotional baggage from the past weighed you down, from old heartbreaks to betrayals that corroded your sense of trust. Initially, you tried ignoring them. If you just kept busy or pressed on, maybe those wounds would fade. But the deeper you reached into your aspirations, the more obvious it became. You couldn't build an empire on a foundation riddled with cracks. Those unhealed hurts had to go, or they'd sabotage every step forward. So you took a courageous step and turned inward. You examined painful memories, regrets, and resentments you'd long repressed. The process wasn't glamorous, it hurt. It peeled away illusions, forced tears from places you didn't realize had tears left. And yet, each time you confronted a memory, you also freed a piece of your spirit from the gloom. Acknowledging your disappointments and allowing yourself to grieve them was cathartic. You recognized that spiritual growth demands emotional accountability. You had to know your scars intimately to transform them into wisdom. In letting go, you made room in your emotional reservoir. Where bitterness once festered, compassion took root. You found new wells of empathy for others and, perhaps more importantly, for yourself. This shift didn't happen overnight, but each moment of self-forgiveness chipped away at the invisible barrier that once kept you from receiving bigger blessings. Life was waiting to hand you gifts, but your arms were too full carrying old burdens. By setting them down, you cleared your hands to finally grab hold of something new and life-changing. And new is precisely what began to appear. Opportunities that once passed you by, or that you were too preoccupied to notice, now stood in clear view. Because you no longer radiated the energy of heartbreak or unresolved sorrow, your vibe brightened, attracting a higher frequency of possibilities. People who never saw your potential before were drawn to your aura of renewed wholeness. Where you once felt locked in cycles of sabotage, you started seeing straightforward paths to success, unblocked and unobstructed. Most crucially, you realized that letting go of old wounds didn't erase the lessons they taught. On the contrary, it sharpened your intuition and made you more discerning. The echoes of past betrayals taught you to spot red flags before they devoured your peace. The memory of heartbreak guided you to love more mindfully. Every scar turned from a chain into a badge of resilience, reminding you that you'd survive darkness and come out stronger. And that sense of strength empowered you to say yes to opportunities you would have once deemed too risky. No longer overshadowed by old ghosts, your energy soared into alignment. Freed from the drag of heartbreak, you soared faster, higher, prepared for whatever extraordinary gifts the universe was orchestrating on your behalf. This transformation was the final piece you needed to become receptive to major blessings. Shorn of the layers of hurt and resentment, your heart stood open and your intentions gleamed with sincerity. A space once occupied by pain was now vacant, hungry to be filled by the new cosmic bounty headed your way. Chapter 5. You learned to live in flow, trusting life's rhythms for your breakthrough. It wasn't always obvious how to integrate big visionary goals with the day-to-day realities of work, bills, and relationships. At first, you tried forcing your timeline, pushing so hard you nearly burned out. Each plan had a rigid schedule. Each dream came with intense, self-imposed deadlines. The frustration mounted when those deadlines passed unfulfilled. You found yourself dancing between mania and despair, oscillating between believing in your dream and wanting to scrap it altogether. Over time, you saw that an unstoppable force alone couldn't ensure success. A more intuitive approach was needed. Slowly, you embraced the concept of flow, aligning your actions with natural energies rather than trying to boss the universe around. You realize that crops grow in seasons. They can't be rushed by sheer will. Similarly, your metamorphosis and your blessings had their own divine timing. This revelation didn't make you complacent. On the contrary, it made you more mindful, discerning when to act aggressively and when to pause or recalibrate. This approach offered surprising results. You began to notice patterns, periods of intense activity followed by times of rest or integration. Instead of treating rest as a sign of laziness, you honored it as a necessary interval for mental, emotional, and spiritual renewal. Then when the wave of motivation rolled back in, you were fresh and clear-headed, ready to sprint again. The synergy of purposeful rest and focused action unlocked deeper levels of creativity and resilience. Each wave brought you closer to your big dream while also keeping you from hitting that dreaded wall of exhaustion. Living in flow also recalibrated your relationship with setbacks. Where you used to see a delay as a sign of cosmic refusal, you now interpreted it as feedback from a universe that loves you, an invitation to refine your approach, to upgrade your skill set, or to wait for better conditions. This shift in perspective removed the panic from momentary failures. It's not that you like failing, but you saw it less as a blockade and more as a detour, guiding you around pitfalls you might not have seen. Another unexpected benefit was how your communication improved. You found it easier to express your needs clearly and to listen to others without the undertone of desperation or hurried energy. As a result, you formed partnerships and collaborations that complemented your flow instead of clashing with it. People sense when you're in alignment with your personal rhythm. It makes you magnetic, grounding them even as they're drawn to your authenticity. The outcome of practicing flow consistently? An inner tranquility that coexists with ambition. You can have big dreams, maybe bigger than ever, without wearing yourself down. The universe, in turn, sees you in this balanced state and vibrates with opportunities attuned to your highest timeline. This is synergy. You move with nature's current rather than sliding upstream. Freed from artificially imposed urgency, your path to this gift, the life-changing blessing, feels more like an unfolding story than a forced outcome. You trust that each chapter arrives right on schedule, ready to be embraced by your newly liberated, deeply resonant sense of self. Chapter 6. You stopped apologizing for wanting more, and the universe conspired in your favor. Admitting you wanted more from life wasn't trivial. It was radical. For years, you might have downsized your ambitions so you wouldn't ruffle friends or family. You tried to appear humble, yet quietly nurtured bigger dreams. Each time you hinted at them, you faced dismissive looks or condescending sighs. Eventually, you asked, "Why am I apologizing for wanting a better life?" That question changed everything. You saw that hiding your desires served no one. It was actually a disservice to the universe's grand design for you. So, you cast off caution. Without flaunting your ambitions, you simply stopped hiding them. When people tried to guilt-trip you for aiming high, you found the grace to disregard it, or gently correct them. You decided your path was valid, and if they couldn't handle it, that was their burden. No longer apologizing sent a potent signal to the cosmos. I am worthy of every dream I hold. It was as if you flipped a cosmic switch. People who once overlooked you began noticing your conviction. Subtle but significant changes followed. Your posture straightened. Your voice, carried by calm certainty, respect flowed. Not from arrogance, but from the sincerity of a person who finally owned their worth. Meanwhile, unseen forces rallied behind you. Suddenly, mentors, networks, and resources aligned with your path. Where obstacles once loomed, solutions emerged in real time. Free of apologies, you stepped up to each chance with a readiness that even surprised you. Saying yes became natural. No longer buried by guilt or downplayed excitement. That bold stance attracted matching energy from the universe. Not everyone applauded. Some accused you of changing too much, as if your former, smaller self had been more convenient for them. You recognized their discomfort was theirs to bear. By refusing to apologize, you also invited them to question their own limits, though few dared. Your journey, even with supporters, remained personal. Each step reaffirmed that you would never again shrink for someone else's comfort. Now you stand unwavering, unburdened by old hesitations. The universe merges your openness with gifts you could only receive once you embraced your innate worth. No more apologies hold you back. Instead, you carry an unshakable acceptance of who you are and what you desire. That acceptance becomes the key that unlocks channels for blessings so grand they might have once overwhelmed you. Now they fit flawlessly, ready to elevate every aspect of your life. Chapter 7. You step fully into the blessing meant for you. At last, you stand on the threshold, the final layer of doubt dissolving into electrifying certainty. You sense something monumental has entered your orbit, a subtle hum in the air, a whisper in your dreams, or clarity in your next steps. With each passing day, the awareness grows. This gift from the universe isn't just a future possibility, it's an imminent reality. And you're ready, more than ever, to receive, to steward, and to thrive within this blessing. Pause and take stock of how far you've come. Once, you forced yourself into roles that left your spirit aching. You let dreams gather dust, convinced one day might never arrive. But here you are, freed from illusions of smallness, disentangled from draining relationships, and standing on a new emotional foundation. You learned to flow, not burn out, and embraced each signpost guiding you toward a greater purpose. Most importantly, you stopped apologizing for desiring a life you love. This transformation isn't just for personal gain. By living authentically, you become a lighthouse for those in the storms you once endured. Whether you lead, create, heal, or pioneer in your unique domain, your example resonates. When people see you seize your destiny, they realize they can awaken to higher callings. So the gift you're receiving isn't merely yours. It's an opportunity to shape the broader tapestry with your distinct brilliance. To fully embrace it, you must let your new self take the lead, untethered by old insecurities. That might mean trusting your instincts when logic resists or taking a bold step into unfamiliar territory. Any fear of failing pales against the promise that you're more than ready to flourish in this new realm. Indeed, the gift is uncharted ground, a job, a move, or a creative endeavor beyond your current skill set. But you wouldn't have been offered it if you weren't capable of success. Doubt may linger, but so does a rising excitement in your chest. Lean into that excitement. Dare to trust your evolution and claim the blessing that's been forming across lifetimes, culminating right now. You have the ability to shape the destiny that once felt out of reach. All that remains is to move forward, arms open, heart alight, ready to embrace this gift and watch your life transform in ways you once only dreamed possible.